Nixon, if you can say, no, we don't hear you. We don't hear you at all. Shall we come back to Nixon? Nixon, we don't hear you. So maybe we go to Dr. Parvez first. Apologies to the audience. Sometimes technology is not in our favor. And this is precisely to tell you that we are talking about the digital divide. But, well, this is equalizing us on the same platform with the rural India sometimes. So with that, Dr. Parvez, if I can request you to, and Dr. Parvez has an excellent experience as an IPS officer, and also has done a tremendous amount of work in education. So Dr. Parvez, if you can help us throw some light on digital divide challenges. And we have been doing incredible work, not only through the electronic internet connectivity, but also through the WhatsApp medium of education. The WhatsApp in university is doing incredible. So over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. I hope I am audible now.
Yes.
So now, Nixon Joseph. So
Yes,
my name is Parvez, and as you know that my education is, of course, anybody who has been in service for so many years. I just superannuated last year. Now, Mr. Nixon.
Nixon, if you can put yourself on mute now. So we've requested Dr. Parvez to share his experience, his suggestions. We'll come to you after Dr. Parvez.
Okay, ma'am. So, like my experience, as you know, that in the civil, as a civil servant in the policing, I had the occasion of working with number of NGOs, you know, who used to work in the education sector. And when you talk about rural perspective, you can't, you know, have a divide between these rural sector and farms and education, health. They're all interconnected. You know? When you talk about anything which is the, when you talk about democracy, that all the marginalized section of the society, when we talk about the substantive justice or inclusive growth shall only happen when the government has a, you know, law and policy which caters to all sections of the society, including the marginalized section of the society. Then only we can talk about the inclusive growth and substantive justice. So the lot of schemes, government of India, when Mr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, he launched the National Literacy Mission for the literate and the new illiterate above the 15 years and above. Many schemes were launched and to educate the people, but still, you know, that as per the World Bank, the literacy rate in India is this 34%, but HRD data, they say it is approximately 40%. So I'll be talking about the 5 sectors, like how important is the law and policy. Our government has come out with a law and policy to make the digital literacy is, you know, either compulsory or it is still, if you see the, you know, like either in the rural sector and in the urban sector, even in the urban sector, if you take Delhi, we have a 3-tier of education. You have a 4-tier rather. One is the central government schools like Kendriya Vidyalaya, they are relatively better off. But still there is no policy. When you are building a school, why not we have a policy, a law, so that there must be, when the school is approved, there must be a classroom, you know, for the computer lab, or a classroom, or they should have at least mandatory education. Some school you will find, even in the urban areas, they will teach computer classes only in, say, once in a week. It is just cosmetic. It doesn't help. So in the urban area also, there is a digital divide that many schools, central government, some schools do have some infrastructure, but when you have come to the state government, because education is the state government state subject, So no state government has come out with a policy to make the computer literacy as a compulsory subject so far, even in the government school. And you see the school, municipal school, municipal, the school with the state government or state aided, and the another tier is the municipality run. In Delhi, you have MCD run schools. So they have also do not have any policy. Even in Delhi, they don't have any policy as such where this is mandatory for them to have a digital literacy. Sadly, in the if you see the another private school, of course, because of they do have a good computer lab and they lay a lot of stress on the digital literacy and the tools. But again, if we talk about the inequality, I mean in the private schools where you have the children who are coming from the socially and economically disadvantaged or under advantaged families like EWS, they do make entry into the private school where some lab is there and they do get it. But again, since these people who can anyway get in admission because of the government policy that EWS providing 25%, and they get exposure, they do matter. But again, in the private sector, but in the government sector, sadly, I mean in Delhi, but just see no policy, except you see the digital divide even in the different state. The Kerala, that is the state where the literacy rate is high. When the literacy rate is high, you will see the connecting the health sector will be farm sector, health sector. When the literacy is such an important tool for the overall growth of the state, of growth of the country. So there the panchayat theatre level, why Kerala, I mean in the COVID, you see that Kerala model has done very well in containing the COVID because of the literacy. People don't have to enforce laws, they are so educated that they don't know what are the duties. They issue a guidelines that everybody should wear a mask. They will not require the police to tell them to wear helmet or to wear mask. They will themselves, because they are educated. Literacy rate is very high, and then when you see the longevity, that is also very high in Kerala, is 71%. Even likewise, the literacy rate you see in Bihar, it is 66% or so, is very less, sadly, so far, despite the all effort, because the certain state governments have not prioritized even literacy, leave aside the digital literacy. I don't think any at any level, even in district level, or since I'm from Bihar and Jharkhand cadre, so I used to go to the school with the district collector in many schools. So I used to see that how much neglected the schools were. Even if they had the lab, they may not have a teacher. Many schools in Bihar and certain eastern part of UP and UP also and many other states only I'm living inside Kerala, Gujarat, and others. I mean, Tamil Nadu is doing very well in education relatively, but you see that in major big chunk of India, like 60% people are still living in rural areas. So where is the emphasis? Where is the visibility of the digital literacy? So the government has to chip in to make a policy so that either you make it compulsory, at least there should be a pass course or something like that. Of course, in the rural areas, without the help of I'll come back to that, how it can, when I talk about the way forward. So even if you have a lab, even in Delhi, there are schools, like where I'm living, there is a Delhi Police Public School, there is a lab, you don't find that there's a teacher. If there's a teacher, so it may be that most of the computers are not working. Sometimes the government, when I was in the Power Grid Corporation of India, being associated with an NGO, 2-3 NGOs in Delhi, we provided them 40 computers, but definitely the one-time aid. I mean, the government is providing the computers, but what about the maintenance? What about the computer teachers, etc. So if we talk about the another sector, like to talk about the infrastructure. So infrastructure is 3%, approximately 3% GDP is being invested in for education. Only India is better off, just above, slightly above Bangladesh and Pakistan and Nepal. although in many sectors, Bangladesh in South Asia is doing better. Either is, you talk about the child mortality and so, but education sector also they are picking up very fast. So the infrastructure, the primary level, panchayats other than Calcutta and some part of Tamil Nadu and Gujarat, you'll find that the most of the rural India, the panchayat level, either it is a primary educational school, it's primary educational school, or it is the primary health center, you'll find that digital literacy has not been perceptibly visible. And I don't think they are teaching the, they have any policy or they're teaching them the computer as such. There is a school lab, there's no lab. Of course, because of the ICT revolution, what impact has come in the rural areas that everybody is using a WhatsApp. You talked about the WhatsApp University. So the WhatsApp is something, this mobile revolution, which came in late 90s and 2G was launched. That has really helped. Even in the when you talk about the rural India, I mean the farm sector, where my previous speaker was talking about how the demands are there, but their farm sector, now the in literacy is so much that in the rural areas, at least because of the WhatsApp, if there is there are certain players like SkyMate and like Cropin, and there are many platforms they're working, many apps are working so that they can get alert. I have done PhD in disaster management. I found in rural areas because of the WhatsApp, people get to know that when is the 3-4 days, what is whether the rains are going to come, or whether the earthquake is going to come, something of a cyclone is going to come. So that literacy has just. But again, the infrastructure in the 60% of the population where they're living in rural areas, the infrastructure is not good, and many schools, other than some central school like Navodaya and Kendriya Vidyalaya, they do have some school, some lab, but not. So I guess that that is something which is lacking.
Dr. Parvez, I think this is a very good opportunity to just share with you one or two questions that have appeared. And while you painted the picture on the challenges that are there and helped us understand the whole picture more vividly, the question today is that what is it that the government is doing, and what is it our role as a public society is going to be in bringing this change. One question is that should we be investing more in 5G or ensuring that we increase the penetration in India, in rural India, of internet connection, which is 46% today? How can we become more Atmanirbhar, and should the government be leveraging the SMEs much more and beyond? And of course, the example that is quoted here is about these large producers of milk. But then how can we develop the tertiary producers in the villages to the primary and the secondary producers to develop the economic cycle? So back to you, Dr. Parvez.
I understand. I was coming back to that. I thought I will talk about what are how to way forward for how to bridge the gaps. I had certain recommendation. Before that, I was just talking about the social settings, even diversity. The people, the students come from the diverse culture and socio-economic settings. That also the third aspect I want to talk about, like urban and suburban areas and the rural areas. I mean, they just see the migrants to so much of millions of migrants who have gone to the rural areas. You are very right that maybe 30% may not come. And also because of we are talking during the COVID perspective, you see that recently then online education, how the online education has further increased the social inequalities in the suburban areas, in the slum cluster, and also in the rural area, the tertiary sector you're talking about. So they defied the Bharat Network program. This is a very gigantic policy. There is a very good framework to increase the digital literacy and to increase the presence of the optical fibers in the rural areas. But again, it is picking up slowly the pace which was expected, even if you see the literacy rate in the 2011 and then 2020, it was the pace which was expected, that the growth of around 11% or so, it has not gone, it has just increased 8 to 9%. So the different culture, like online education, when you talk about, everybody's talking about a webinar. You might have come to know that recently, day before, there was a news in the Indian Express that a girl, she could not participate in the webinar because she didn't have access to the smartphone or the laptop, and she committed suicide. And also another thing I would like to say, that because of the migration during the COVID, like in Punjab, there was a news day before yesterday in Indian Express that in Punjab, the government schools, people, because the economy was already slowing down, and it has slowed down as per the Moody different perspective. I'll not talk about that, but definitely economy is globally slowing down because of the COVID. That is an about fact. But just see that in Punjab, there was what the news item was saying that the parents were getting out their education from the private school and putting them. So the number of admission in the government schools is increasing in Punjab, and so is other states like UP and Bihar. So this is a change. The COVID, we do not know how long it is going to continue. So it will have a definite effect. So this different government effort and schemes and a lot of money which the government of India has put in the BharatNet, just to put in the, laying the ICT towers in the rural areas. So lot of efforts are going on, even by METI and all, but still the students who are coming from different backgrounds, So in the rural areas, there is also need for the, requirement for the need-based education, because you will see that over a period of time, the labor, the student will be leaving the dropouts, like even in the, although the right to education is making it compulsory from the child from 6 to 14. But I must tell you that 70 to 80%, my own batchmate, she was the school education secretary till recently. She was giving me a fever, the class 6, 8, 9, 70 to 80% dropout children, and largely the women, they are, how to tackle that, the dropout children. So that is another challenge, we are facing. But until unless the children, to make them enter into the formal education, that is a challenge. And again, I'll just judge the behavioral aspect. Just see, when the many parents and teachers, there is still, they have some kind of a resistance to use the mouse and computers and that internet. So that problem is behavioral aspect is also very important. And NIHLET, which is the government nation which is giving a formal and offline, online education. So what you are asking, that the role of like public sector, when the government of India or the state government in the mining area, like Jharkhand, many big mining tycoons are coming from different part of the country. Why can't the government, while signing an MOU with them that we are giving you a patta and mines, they must say that, okay, you adopt this number of schools, government school, where you will maintain the computers literacy and you'll provide computer, not only provide, you will maintain also. So, and public sector and private sector both. This is the one area where the private sector should chip in to help. Without the collaborative model, we cannot increase the digital coverage in the rural areas.
So Dr. Parvez, what is the role the panchayats are playing, especially in the poor states of UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, to be able to bridge this gap? What is the active role that the panchayats are taking? Because you clearly shared a little while ago that there is a clear linkage between literacy and development, and literacy and governance.
So I was telling you that in the tertiary sector, the Panchayati Raj, as per the 1974 amendment, so in Bihar and Jharkhand, the tertiary level has not developed. Either in health sector, do you think this migrant, thankfully the government is putting them in quarantine of say 2 weeks or so, and India has the second largest youth. We may have you must be seeing that we may have large number of infection the whatever data we are seeing is we are not testing the asymptomatic people who are 80%. I still, as a disaster expert, feel that 60 to 80% people, maybe until unless either we get a vaccine or herd immunity will gradually will develop. But in the tertiary sector, the Panchayati Raj, only the Kerala state has taken a lead. I have visited many panchayat and in the Bihar and state of Jharkhand. So there, I think this COVID is going to give a very good lesson to the country, to the other states, that it is very important why Kerala has done so well, because they developed their tertiary sector, their primary health center, their panchayat councils are very strong. And you will find that hospital. But if you go to the sub-divisional level, you leave about the tertiary sector, I'm talking about secondary sector, sub-divisional, you will find in Bihar and Jharkhand and Eastern UP many hospitals. And also corruption is also visible, because you'll find the civil surgeon is there, you will not find the doctors. The doctors, although the government has made it mandatory that any MBBS doctor, they must work in the for 2 years in the public health center. But sadly, you will find there are many schools and hospitals. One lady had fallen sick in one hospital, another in a village, you will find that hospital will be 46 kilometers away, 30 kilometers away. So likewise, the entire infrastructure, education also. So digital, many, like even when you talk about the crime against women and all, 100, dial 100, or you talk about COVID, situation is not very good. Here, this is why I'm recommending that the role of private sector is very important, and also the public sector. In Jharkhand, you have a public sector, many public sector. You have got CCL, you have got Coal India, you have got BCCL. Many public sectors are there. You have got many big players in mining sector. I mean, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, where. So until unless if the government really wants to do justice with this tertiary sector, has to develop. The COVID will teach a good lesson. Maybe it has come as an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a glaring exposure for the poor states that they have not invested enough. And that's why they've got so much of this migrant problem, because people left those states in light of greener pastures, and it's a glaring exposure for all those 3 states. So let me come back to you, Dr. Parvez, and I think I want to invite Mr. Nixon. So Nixon, if you can share